And so another season is upon us, and as is always the case, another batch of freestyle props have hit the market. And as I've done in the last 2 years, I'm going to take a look at these props with you guys. I'm going to fly them all back to back just to see what's what and how they stack up to each other. Got the 2 recent offerings from Ethix. I've got the P3.5 Radberries. These are a little bit older. They came out last season, but I haven't tried them yet, so we'll give them a go and see how they go. 3.5 pitch. We've got the Ethix P3.3 Mango Lassi. So 3.3 pitch, naturally. These have come out very recently. Probably the newest props in the whole bunch here, other than, well, we'll see that later. Then also from HQ, got the Speedy Drones PizzaCutters. These are the 50-37s, so you're talking about the same pitch as the J37s, which are quite popular. Then from Gemfan, I'm going to be trying out the 49-37. So these actually have exactly the same on paper specs as the J37s that I'm used to flying. So 4.9 inch, 3.7 pitch. Giving those a go. I'm really curious to see how those compare to the J37s. And I've got also from Gemfan the Hurricane 5127. So these are actually marketed as a racing prop. But you know, the 5.1 inch combined with the low pitch. Anyways, I was curious. I'm interested in seeing how these go. And finally, not really a freestyle prop at all. I've got these, you know, now infamous. Probably just broke it, didn't I? Donut props. In my opinion, actually, Foxeer style prop missed out on an opportunity here. They should have called these the infinity props, the donut props. That's kind of stupid. I've never actually seen a donut that looks like this. So we'll be giving those a shot as well. Now, I'm not expecting, I'm just trying them because I'm curious. They're fragile, as is probably obvious by the fact that they come in a bubble wrap bag. That's the first time I've ever seen props come in bubble wrap. Probably not an option to consider for freestyle. What we're going to start out with is the J37, which I've got on my Apex here. Quick overview of the build that we'll be testing with. This is ImpulseRC Apex, 5-inch, standard build, analog. It's got KISS inside, so I've got the 45 amp ESC, F7 FC. You know, it's kind of an old school classic Mr. Steel build. The GoPro Session won't be running an ND filter, so not that there's that much light left. But however, it'll probably help us, you know, see a little bit more of the vibrations if anything's going on. I've got the Stout motors. These are the V3 Legacy, and that's about it. I'm going to be running each flight with a fresh 1000 milliamp hour GNB 120C pack, and I'm going to run every single flight 400 milliamp hours around there, and then land. And I'll be able to compare how much flight time I got out of each set of props, just to, you know, it'll give me an idea of what kind of efficiency we're getting out of them. Not really a scientifically accurate test, because you know, I'm not going to be able to reproduce exactly the same flights every single time, but at least it'll kind of still give us an idea of if any of them are, you know, considerably more energy efficient or less. So yeah, let's get to it. We'll start out with our baseline on J37 props. Let's get this thing in the air. 209, 210, that's about what I expected. So that's our baseline. Just because I'm really curious to see how they stand up really back to back. Next up is going to be the 4937 from Gemfan. So let's get those on. These are pretty much equivalent to the J37 technically. You know, I'll be honest right off the bat, I think they look pretty cool. That kind of almost opaque black look to them. Oh, I got like a little badass vibe. Let's see how that goes. Right off the bat, they feel a little less responsive actually than the J37s do. They are a bit heavier if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, a little bit less responsive, just about pop feels the same. Prop wash there. There you go, 400. How much time? 2:19. I was expecting this to run about the same time, so got a 10-second difference here. These props are kind of reminiscent of those zero power Johnny FPV props from several years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago. They have this kind of, I don't know, capacity to kind of iron out those kind of, you know, imperfections in either your flight inputs or the quad's flight. It's just, they kind of smooth themselves out somehow. I don't know if it's the weight or the blade profile. Anyways, so with these, you're looking at basically kind of just like a naturally smoother version of the J37s. So not as responsive, but they have that added advantage of kind of, you know, smoothing out the flight a little bit. Prop wash seemed like it might have been a little bit more, but that's hard to say because the wind is kind of inconsistent right now. It's not very strong, but it's there. Let's move on. Let's see, what should we try next? All right, so here we go with the P3.5 Radberry 3.5 pitch from Ethix HQ. All right, responsiveness is back. And they got a lot of pop. It's kind of what I expected. 5.1 inch instead of the 4.9 I'm used to. I feel confident with that responsiveness, but that's just because I'm used to it. They kind of seem to carry speed pretty well, which I would expect from a larger prop already. On top of that, they've got that additional pitch. I like these. A little more pop than I'm used to, which isn't a bad thing. was 230, but kind of overdid it there. So I'm gonna say like 220. So far they're all pretty much actually in the same ballpark. Logical next step is going to be the P3.3 Mango Lassi. Let's get those on, see what's going on. Been excited to try these ones out. Given what I felt from the P3.5s, I'm kind of expecting these to actually really feel like the J37. Even though it's a little less pitch, but they're going to be responsive, being Ethix props. I also got to say I do much prefer the color scheme over the P3.5s if those transparent at the front. Just so you don't always see the props at the bottom of the GoPro footage. So not all of us are running DC frames, you know? So let's give these a whirl. Just as I expected. They're as responsive as the J37s, and they have the same kind of throttle point to them. Someone coming. Lassi. I like these. Feel right at home. Yep, not much prop wash either. Yep, these are good. Overdid it again. That was 220. I think I actually just went a little softer on the P3.5s overall. So far, everyone's running around 2 minutes 20 seconds, around that, 2 minutes 15 seconds. And you know, my just kind of first reaction to this, feeling wise, they're really very, very similar to the J37s. So let's say I couldn't find any more J37s tomorrow, I'd probably go to these, yeah. Next up are gonna be HQ Speedy Drones PizzaCutters, 5037. Blade, kind of, the profile kind of reminds me of the S5s, the Ethix S5s from a few years ago. They look kind of thick though. They are heavier. I don't remember the exact weight, but they are heavier than like the Ethix props in general. Same pitch as the J37s, but 5 inch instead of 4.9. Let's see how they go. Not as responsive, that's for sure. Little extra kick. Not as much pop as I thought. kind of having trouble feeling out the throttle on it. It's kind of as if like when that extra, you know, that kick comes in, it's not where I'm expecting it. So it's there, but I don't know, there's kind of like not linear, maybe they are too linear, I don't know what it is. But there's something about them. Not a huge fan. $2.15 again. So next up are not actually freestyle props, but I'm gonna give the Hurricane, Gemfan Hurricane 5127 racing props a go. All right, so unfortunately yesterday something came up. I wasn't able to actually finish up the tests. Lucky for me, today the conditions are literally identical than the conditions yesterday. So let's get these last two props checked out. So we were gonna try out the Gemfan Hurricane 5127. These are racing props technically. So I was curious to see how these would behave. Given the 5.1 inch wide profile, you know, they look like racing props, but they have that low pitch. So let's get these in the air. Actually feel pretty nice. Yeah, these feel nice. They're not quite as responsive as the J37s. They are heavier, but throttle response is really nice. They've definitely got some pop. Yeah, these are actually surprisingly nice. I feel like they're going to last longer. We're just coming up now on 400. Well, 224, it's about the same. That's surprising, I'll be honest. So next up, there was only one left. It's gonna be the donut props from Dalprop Foxeer. All right, I think I've got these on the right way. Let's just make sure quick. They're not super intuitive, just looking at them. Okay, you can already tell right away it sounds not at all the same. A lot of hype around these. I already know that they're fragile from a lot of the reviews I've seen and the fact that they arrive in bubble wrap. But you know, nonetheless, just curious to see what they, how they fly, as I'm sure is everyone else. Much deeper sound. Quite responsive. Pop is okay. They're not that responsive. They're actually smoother than I thought they would be. They don't have much top end, so they kind of feel like quad blades, but sound like bi-blades. once you have some speed going, they kind of carry that speed like quad blades might. But at lower speeds, they feel like quad blades in the grip. I almost want to give him some durability testing here. These feel pretty good. I'm surprised. They're not that powerful though. We know they're brittle. They do better than I expected. I'll give them that. 2.5 minutes. I did go a little easier on them though, I feel. How would I? In the end, I mean, these are basically just, they're like bi-blades. At low speed, they feel like quad blades. They always sound like bi-blades, and they carry speed like bi-blades. They're not quieter, that's for sure. I don't think they're in any way meaningfully more efficient. They look weird. But, you know, it's cool, new, interesting things, right? So there you go. So I went through all of the footage. In the end, the Gemfan 5127, the racing props, were the biggest surprise, that's for sure. Didn't expect those to fly actually as well as they did. In fact, of all the Gemfans that I tried, I'd go as far as saying they were the best ones. Maybe not as responsive as I'd like, but you know, they fly well, they feel nice, throttle feels good and linear. But if I were, let's say the J37s that I like to fly every day for freestyle, let's say those ones disappeared and I couldn't get them anymore, then I would have to say I'd replace them with the Ethix P3.3, the Lassi props. They definitely have the same characteristics in terms of like the flight feel as the J37s. They're really responsive. The throttle feel is just about the same. They carry a little more speed, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but none of them blew me away enough to get me off of the J37s. Now the J37s, the only thing that really annoys me about them is the fact that they're impossible to find the gray ones. That's the, I'd say, the biggest issue with them. Like, and there are no Canadian shops that have the J37s in gray. You know, just because I have my props in view, I'd rather have gray props up front on the quad. So, but I had, you know, there are some US shops, and TBS also has the J37s in dark gray, so I have, you know, a good back inventory of those on hand. But when I run out, you know, the Lassi, the fact that the front, you can put the front props transparent, it's a pretty good deal. So yeah, I think if I had to say out of what I tried, the Lassi would probably be the top pick out of them. That's just my opinion, of course. So for different flying styles, you're gonna want something different, possibly. I hope that what you saw in the video will help make a decision as to which props you should get of the new batch. So on that note, happy flying.